Introduction. On a Tuesday marked by significant political discourse, U.S. President Donald Trump made headlines by denying that his recent threats of imposing sweeping tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico were aimed at forcing early renegotiations of trade agreements. Instead, he framed his actions as a necessary response to what he described as massive flows of fentanyl and migrants entering the United States. This statement sparked a variety of reactions and discussions around U.S. trade policy, border security, and the intricate relationship between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. The context of Trump's tariff threats. Trump's administration has been characterized by a distinct approach to trade relations, often utilizing tariffs as a tool to leverage negotiations and reshape international agreements. The tariffs in question, set at a potential 25%, are part of a broader strategy that the president has employed to assert his administration's stance on trade and national security. The timing of these threats is significant, particularly as they come ahead of the scheduled review of the Canada-United States-Mexico Agreement, CUSMA, in 2026, the successor to the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA. During his presidency, Trump has repeatedly voiced concerns about trade imbalances and the implications of foreign goods entering the U.S. marketplace. His administration's emphasis on America First has led to a series of confrontations with both allies and adversaries, raising questions about the future of international trade relationships, especially with key partners like Canada and Mexico. The role of CUSMA. CUSMA, which replaced NAFTA, was designed to modernize the trade framework between the three North American countries, addressing concerns that had emerged over the decades since NAFTA was enacted. The agreement introduced new provisions related to labor rights, environmental protections, and digital trade, among other issues. The upcoming review of CUSMA in 2026 presents an opportunity for all parties to assess the agreement's effectiveness and make necessary adjustments. Trump's threats of tariffs could be interpreted as a tactic to gain leverage ahead of these discussions, as reported by the Wall Street Journal, which cited sources familiar with Trump's thinking. However, Trump's insistence that his tariff threats are unrelated to CUSMA complicates the narrative surrounding U.S. trade policy. Framing the narrative. Fentanyl and migration. In his remarks, Trump linked his tariff threats to the larger issues of fentanyl trafficking and immigration. The opioid crisis has been a significant concern in the United States, with fentanyl, a powerful synthetic opioid, being a leading cause of overdose deaths. Trump's administration has often emphasized that a significant portion of fentanyl entering the U.S. originates from China and Mexico. By framing his tariff threats within this context, Trump seeks to present them as part of a broader national security strategy aimed at protecting American citizens. The issue of migration is another critical element of Trump's narrative. The president has consistently portrayed immigration as a challenge that requires robust action, often linking it to crime and drug trafficking. By connecting trade policy to border security and public safety, Trump aims to galvanize support from constituents who prioritize these issues. The political landscape and public reaction. Trump's statements and policy moves often provoke a range of reactions from politicians, economists, and the general public. Critics of Trump's approach argue that using tariffs as a bargaining chip can have detrimental effects on the economy, leading to increased prices for consumers and potential retaliation from trading partners. These concerns are particularly relevant in the context of U.S.-Canada relations, where the two countries have historically enjoyed a strong trading partnership. For many Canadians, the prospect of tariffs on goods imported from their country raises alarms about economic stability and the potential for strained diplomatic relations. Canada is one of the largest trading partners of the United States, and any disruption in this relationship could have cascading effects on both economies. The economic implications of tariffs. The imposition of tariffs typically results in increased costs for consumers, as companies often pass the additional expenses on to buyers. For instance, if a 25% tariff is applied to Canadian goods, American consumers could see price hikes on a wide range of products, from food items to manufactured goods. This situation could exacerbate inflationary pressures in the U.S. economy, which could be particularly concerning in an environment where consumers are already facing rising costs. Moreover, The potential for retaliatory tariffs from Canada and Mexico could escalate into a trade war, further complicating the economic landscape. Trade wars can disrupt supply chains, leading to job losses and economic uncertainty. The interconnectedness of the U.S., Canadian, and Mexican economies means that decisions made in Washington can have far-reaching consequences in Ottawa and Mexico City. #The importance of trade negotiations. Given the complexities of international trade, ongoing negotiations are essential for addressing concerns and finding mutually beneficial solutions. CUSMA was a significant step in this direction, but the evolving political landscape requires continuous dialogue and collaboration. The looming review of CUSMA in 2026 presents an opportunity for all parties to revisit the agreement and adapt to changing economic conditions and priorities. Trump's approach to trade negotiations has often been characterized by a willingness to exert pressure on allies. While this tactic may yield short-term gains, it risks alienating key partners and undermining long-term relationships. The ability to negotiate effectively hinges on trust and mutual respect, qualities that can be eroded by aggressive rhetoric and unilateral actions. The broader context of U.S. foreign policy. Trump's comments about Canada and Mexico are part of a larger narrative regarding U.S. foreign policy under his administration. The emphasis on unilateralism and protectionism marks a departure from traditional diplomatic approaches that prioritize alliances and cooperative agreements. This shift has raised questions about the future of U.S. leadership on the global stage and its ability to navigate complex international issues. The consequences of this approach are evident in various arenas, from climate change negotiations to global trade dynamics. As countries around the world grapple with pressing challenges, the ability of the U.S. to engage constructively with allies will be crucial for addressing these issues effectively. The response from Canada and Mexico. In light of Trump's statements and threats, both Canada and Mexico have taken steps to prepare for potential economic fallout. Canadian officials have emphasized the importance of maintaining open lines of communication and fostering strong relationships with U.S. counterparts. Diplomacy and dialogue are essential for mitigating the risks associated with tariffs and trade disputes. Mexican officials have similarly expressed concerns about the impact of Trump's tariff threats on their economy. Mexico relies heavily on exports to the United States, and any disruption in trade could have significant repercussions for its economic stability. As both countries navigate the complexities of their relationships with the U.S., the importance of collaboration and mutual understanding cannot be overstated. The role of public opinion. Public opinion plays a critical role in shaping trade policy and government actions. As Trump threatened tariffs, various stakeholders, including business leaders, economists, and everyday citizens, expressed their views on the implications of such measures. Many business leaders emphasize the need for stable trade relationships that allow for growth and investment, while economists cautioned against the potential negative effects of tariffs on the economy. The media also plays a significant role in shaping public perception of trade issues. Coverage of Trump's statements and actions can influence how citizens view tariffs, trade negotiations, and the overall impact on the economy. In an era of information overload, the framing of these issues in the media can significantly impact public opinion and political discourse. The long-term consequences of tariff policies. The long-term consequences of Trump's tariff policies remain uncertain, but there are several potential scenarios worth considering. If tariffs are implemented and retaliatory measures are taken by Canada and Mexico, the resulting trade tensions could lead to a prolonged period of economic instability. Industries that rely on cross-border supply chains may face significant challenges, leading to job losses and reduced economic growth. Conversely, if Trump's administration can successfully negotiate favorable terms through the threat of tariffs, it may embolden similar tactics in future negotiations. This could set a precedent for using aggressive trade policies as a means of achieving diplomatic goals, potentially leading to a more volatile international trade environment. Conclusion. In summary, President Donald Trump's denial that his threats of tariffs are aimed at forcing early trade renegotiations with Canada and Mexico reflects a complex interplay of trade policy, national security concerns, and political strategy. By linking tariffs to issues such as fentanyl trafficking and migration, Trump seeks to frame his actions within a broader narrative that resonates with his base. However, the implications of these threats extend far beyond rhetoric, affecting the economic stability of the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. As both countries navigate the challenges posed by these developments, the importance of open dialogue, mutual respect, and cooperation cannot be overstated. The upcoming review of CUSMA in 2026 presents an opportunity for all parties to reassess their priorities and work toward a more stable and prosperous future. Ultimately, the ability to engage constructively with allies will be critical for addressing the pressing challenges facing the U.S. and its neighbors in an increasingly interconnected world.